How you doing? This is Lance Hendrickson, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com.
All right, and welcome to the Station of Decapitation Without Your Head. I'm Nasty Neil.
This is Annabelle Lecter.
That would make me Terrible Troy.
Yes, and joining us on the line, he's been in tons of movies. You're going to know him. He's just an all-around badass. We have Vernon Wells on the line.
Thank you. Well, I guess that makes me the badass.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it does.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we do want to talk about, you have a new movie out right now, The Horde, which is on
Yes,
video
I
on
do.
demand. And it's got an awesome cast. And you're a very interesting character. You could probably tell people better than I can. Give them an idea what the movie's about.
The movie's kind of like a Rambo-ish type thing mixed in with a little bit of Hills Have Eyes. So it's kind of, after about the first 10 minutes or so, it sort of grabs you by the ass and doesn't let go till it finishes. It's a lot of fun. Basically about a group of kids who go for a holiday in the woods with their teacher, and their teacher convinces her boyfriend to come with them. He's an ex-Navy SEAL, and he wants to go anyway because he wants to propose to her, and then all these nasty things happen, and these mutant-y type people capture them and kill them and start doing some horrible things, and our hero sets out to get his girlfriend back. Mm-hmm. So the mayhem begins, and it is fun.
Yes, it is. It's very, actually, in my notes, when I watched, I actually wrote down hybrid of Rambo and Hills Have Eyes. So that's amazing that you said both those movies.
See, I'm not as dumb as I look.
What drew you to the movie? How'd you get involved?
Actually, Paul Logan, the the writer and star of it, rang me and asked me if I'd read the script and pick a role. And he told me the roles that were cast. And I read the script, and I told him I wanted to play this one role called the Butcher. And he said, no, that's basically just an extra who's just going to be in for a couple of minutes. And I said, that's really cool. I want to play the Butcher. And he said, you're kidding. I have to rewrite the whole goddamn script because you want to play the Butcher. And I went, gotta start, dude. So he rewrote the character and set it all up, and I got to play the Butcher.
Mm-hmm. So
that must feel fantastic, and I assume it's a better movie for that. You saw this character and you knew it was something, and he ran with it.
Yep, he definitely ran with it. It was really great that he did, because I just, it was the kind of thing I looked at and I thought, Charlotte, I could do something with this and have a little bit of fun. Mm-hmm. And I decided that that's what I wanted to do. And fortunately for me, Paul was 100% behind me and was like, "Yeah, let's do this. Let's make this really super." Mm-hmm. And it turned out really, really good.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil the movie, but the dialogue during like a butcher scene with your characters, one of the highlights of the movie.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. We had a lot of fun doing it. I actually, in the rehearsals, Beth, one of our producers, got a little bit squeamish when I was doing it and left where we were. It was a lot of fun. We kind of pushed it as far as we could.
Yeah,
that's how you know you're doing your job well, when people actually involved in the team are uncomfortable by your portrayal.
Yep. Yes, they kind of think you're some kind of twisted son of a.
You can say whatever you want on here, so that's fine. How did you know Paul Logan? Had you known him for a while?
I hadn't known him per se, as in we were friends, but I had known of him, and it was through somebody else that knew me very well that Paul got in touch with me. 2 or 3 of the people in the film are good friends of mine, so it became like this little family affair. Mm-hmm. And he definitely wanted to work with me, so that was how it all began. I guess I'm fortunate in the fact that a lot of people want to work with me, so I get to work with some really cool people.
Mm-hmm. Why is that? Why do you think people like to work with you?
Because I'm a dumbass. You know what? I wouldn't work with me. I'm quite confused as to why they want to, but people tend to get this opinion that I actually do a good job. So they want to put me in their films and play with me. I enjoy myself. I think the biggest thing is that I just enjoy it. I go out there and I have fun. I don't take myself seriously, and I don't take the whole business to heart where I'm being a total ass. I just enjoy what I'm doing and enjoy the people I'm working with. And I think in a good way that makes people want to have you around. And I'm very fortunate by that.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned some of your friends on the movie. Who are some of the other friends on the film?
Bill Moseley
Mm-hmm.
was on the film, and let me think. Oh gosh. Of course, when you ask me that, my mind goes totally blank.
Mandalar?
Sorry?
Costas Mandalar, maybe?
Yeah, Costas.
Yeah.
Mandalore.
Mandalore,
Yeah,
I'm very sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Costas Mandalore and his brother. I was supposed to actually do a film with his brother in a couple of weeks, but unfortunately I'll be away for the one day they want to do it. I'll be away that weekend doing a Mad Max thing in Arizona.
Nice. Very cool.
So yeah, I'm reading from the book of Road Warrior. That'll be kind of interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Oh, where's that going to be? You said Arizona, but
it's at a place called in Arizona, it's see, what I tell you? You ask me questions, my mind.
Is it something like that people can go to? Isn't it sold out or?
Hey, this is Bill Moseley. I play Otis in House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects and Chop Top and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com. Don't touch that dial or I will lick your plate. Oh, no.
No, my phone just went blink and I went, that'll teach me. Couldn't even think of the name. And then my phone goes, screw you, I'm out of here, dude. You're an idiot. Hang on, I'm just collecting dogs for a second.
No problem.
Yeah, it's in Uranium Springs. It's an apocalyptic weekend that they have, which should be kind of fun. They invited me to come up and do the Wes thing and read from the book of Road Warrior. And I thought, what the hell? Why not? It'll be fun.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Oh, yeah.
Now, did you, when you played Wes, did you ever think, that character would be such a big deal forever?
No, actually, I thought that I would probably have frostbite in my ass forever. It was so cold, and of course, I keep trying to explain to people. I go, what? What are you talking about? And I go, well, have a look at the rest of the cast. They're all wearing high-necked leather jackets, and they've got stuff around their necks. They've got hats on. What am I wearing? Nothing. I am freezing to death. And that's why I was so pissed off all through the movie. I was just cold.
So it
Had
helped.
nothing to do with acting.
That should have been a secret that you kept with you. I
should have taken that to my grave, damn it.
Shows his commitment.
Exactly. Now,
Thank you.
No,
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't think it would get cold enough in Australia to be freezing, but I guess it's all relative.
Yeah, it gets cold when you're in the desert and you're between two mountains in a valley. It gets awfully cold.
Mm-hmm.
Wind whistles up the valley and up parts of your body you do not want it to.
Now, did you have the mohawk prior to the movie, or did you shave in the mohawk for the film?
No, back then, in 78, 79, if you had a mohawk, they would have locked you up instantly. You would have been considered some kind of lunatic. No, I didn't have the mohawk. I actually had the mohawk for the movie, and it was quite funny that I had to go up to Sydney and have the wardrobe fittings and makeup and all this. And right up until that stage, I didn't know I was doing the film. And when I got asked to come up and do the thing, I was a little skeptical because I didn't think I could actually play the character. And I was afraid of it more than anything. And George sort of got me dressed in the costume and stood me in front of a very large mirror and kind of convinced me that I could do it by showing me what an idiot I look like.
What was your reservations about playing this character?
Well, I mean, you know, he was out of any realm that I came from. He was just so far away from who I was as a normal person, and you have to remember that was my first film.
Yeah,
I'd done very limited work on television, very limited, and I'd done this major stage play, which had become very big, and that's why I got cast into Road Warrior. And so suddenly being thrust into that film and having no clue of how the whole thing worked, it was terrifying, to be blunt. And then knowing that character had to work. He was a central part of the film. He wasn't just somebody who wandered through the film and you took no notice of. He was a central part of the film. It had to work regardless. So it was a little bit interesting until we got on set, and then it kind of all came together and we didn't worry.
How did you get into that to begin with if you weren't comfortable with the role?
How did I get into doing the film?
Yeah.
I was on stage doing a play called Hosanna, which was written by Michel Tremblay, a Canadian writer who had written about a couple of the areas of Canada wanting to become French-speaking, basically a French province in Canada, and the Canadian government had told them to go suck eggs, basically. And he wrote a stage play about it, and he based it on the fact of one person, and it was a two-hander, just two people. One of them was a transvestite, and the other was her boyfriend. And that was a difficult thing for me to do as well, because being, the fraternal macho, football playing, horse riding, driving four-wheel drive vehicles, chasing things, person that I was, that did not sit well with me, playing that role. And when the play was what's called a filler. It was between two seasons, but it became this rather large hit and played for quite a while. And it just grew like Road Warrior. It got a life of its own. George Miller's girlfriend at the time, Sandy Gore, happened to see me in a performance. She told George she thought he should see me because she felt I'd be perfect for the role of Wes. And as it happened, George and I met. We just talked about nothing, just crap. We told jokes and drank coffee and laughed a lot. And he left, and I had no idea why I had been having coffee with him. And it was later that I was told that I had the film. And I asked George, actually, I was at the opening of Fury Road in Japan, and I asked him why he had cast me. Because there's always this thing between me and George where I say, he created me and created my career, and he always says, no, I created the character, and I was the one that created my career. But I think it was, pretty much a tie in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But I asked him why he cast me, and he said he needed someone that was big, which I seemed to fit that bill, and someone that you really wouldn't like to meet in a dark alley on a dark night. And I kind of fit that bill. And he said, and the other thing he needed was somebody that when the girls looked at him, dressed as he was, they would all think, give me 5 minutes, I'll have his pants off and be screwing his brains out. And that was what he needed. He didn't want the character to be this dark, death-defying, causing, giving thing. He wanted the character to be somebody that people would look at and go, oh, my God, there must be a reason he's like he is. And I guess he achieved what he wanted. I thought he got 2 out of 3 pretty much right, but he seems to think he got 3 out of 3.
Now, you mentioned that, though, Wes does have, what seems to be his boyfriend in the movie.
It's not his son. God, everybody.
Really? I did not.
It's
I
all
did not
Miller's
realize
fault. If you read the book that was the script, there's a book out that's the script of Mad Max. Right in the front of it, the first part of the movie, which wasn't in the film, was that the Marauders go up to a farmhouse and they're sort of raping and pillaging and burning, and I drive up behind them. And that's before right before the film actually starts. And one of the Marauders is about to kill this little blonde kid, and I stop him and I put him on the back of my bike and I ride off. And then it cuts to where I'm following Mel down the road right at the beginning of the movie. So you realize that I rescued him, and he's now virtually my surrogate son, whom I've got, and that's why I'm so pissed when he gets killed.
Yeah.
But of course, everybody else thought he was gay, and I was gay, and I just went, "What the hell?"
That's interesting, though. A lot of the characters in the movie, Lord Humongous, same way as there's other layers to the guy. He does tell everyone, just walk away. He doesn't want to necessarily kill everybody, and for me that always adds a lot to any villain.
Yeah, every character in that film was beautifully played by the actors, number one, and was beautifully directed by George, number two. And the reason being is that for a week we wrote an essay of our life from the day we were born until that film began of the character we were playing. And we would read it every 2 days, and Terry Hayes and George Miller and Brian would tear it apart and say yes, no, go rewrite it. And so what happened was that in the finish, we had the story of who we were. So the characters became multi-layered. They weren't just these cardboard cutouts of the normal characters you get in these films where they're running out and killing people and raping and pillaging. These characters actually had layers to who they were, which I think is what made the film so successful.
Had you had that opportunity or later on in other films, or was that kind of a one-time deal to be able to write the history of your character?
I try to do it myself. I don't write it so much as when I get a script and I read it, I go through and I sort out in my mind exactly what the character is, where the character is going to go, and how I can adjust that character to make it work within the parameters I'm given by the script. And so I do a backstory on him to find out where he can go and how far I can take him. So I think I learned a lot from what George did in my preparation of how I look at what I'm doing. And I think it served me pretty well. That when I do a lot of the characters, like in the Horde. I mean, the Butcher's a very complex character, but he's kind of fun.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times that adds to a character, even if the audience doesn't necessarily know all this background. It just adds something to the performance, and you could tell that this is an actual person, not just a caricature, like you said.
Yeah, it just gives a dimension to it, which is what I enjoy. It kind of worked the same in Commando with the character in that I was able to use what I knew about the script and my relationship to Schwarzenegger to just give the character a life of his own.
Yep. It's really funny because we've had people come on the show that say they basically, and they do good performances, and they say they just read the script. And I would think that would be incredibly boring to just read it with no life, no investment of time in figuring out what makes the person work.
Yeah. I think it all depends how you were taught or trained, and what you need from what you're reading. I just like to get into it and see if there's somewhere I can take it that's different. I have this real thing about trying to make the characters I play a little different each time. so that they're not just a cutout of each other. I mean, I love it when people come up to me at conventions and go, "Oh my God, I didn't realize you were the guy from Commando."
Oh yeah,
Because
that's awesome.
you know, they just don't get it. They're like, it's so different, and it's like, yeah, well, that's probably why the word actor's in front of my name.
But that's got to be what makes it fun. Even if you play like the similar villains a lot of the time, I would just think it would be. I mean, like a lot of people, you just go to work and you have your regular job and you do the same thing all the time. But you've got so much opportunity to have fun. Like you said earlier, you have fun doing what you do.
Oh shit, yeah. If you can't have fun, then don't do it.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I always made this deal with myself is that if this all became a drag and that, you know, I wasn't having fun doing it, that I was just doing it because I had to, and I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm happy that I don't have that problem. I'm still enjoying what I do. I still get out there every day on the set and you know, just have a ball.
Yeah, looking at your credits, it seems like you have no problem with that at all. You've had quite a career. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm kind of a lucky dude, as they say, of being of being lucky enough to have plenty of opportunities come my way and be able to take those opportunities. So, you know, and it's still going, which amazes the heck out of me.
Mm-hmm. You know, you mentioned some of the standout characters, Bennett and Wes from Road War. What are some of the characters that, for fans of you, that you would like them to seek out that maybe they might not know about?
There's well, I've got a couple of films coming out, which, of course, the one out of the Horde, which is kind of a fun role of. There's a film I did a couple of years ago called King of the Ants.
Yeah, I saw. With George Wendt.
Yep, I love that film. Love the piece that I put in it. And there's a boxing movie I did way back called Circle Man, which I really love, and a lot of people really enjoy it. And there's a character that I did in a film called True Loved, which is a coach who is totally against gays and doesn't realize that his quarterback is gay. So it's kind of got a real fun twist to it and a thing that I have to work through, which is kind of interesting. Then this year I've got... what do we got coming out? We've got Trouble Is My Business, in which I play a cop, 1940s cop in Los Angeles who's dirty, which is kind of fun. We've got another film that's coming out called that's called Bat Out of Hell, in which I have a great role, which I really like. The Inquisitor, in which I get to play a 16th century Spanish conquistador.
Nice.
Which I love. And The Lighthouse Keeper, which is a great film that I really, really enjoyed making. That's coming out. And a few others. I think there's like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
It should be fun. But most of the stuff I do, I've enjoyed. There are a few, don't get me wrong, in what I've done, there's a few films I'd like to be able to get hold of and bury somewhere that no one will ever find. But, you know, you have to accept the fact that sometimes you screw up.
Do you feel like it was more you that was involved in, like you said, screwing up, or do you think it was just the way the film was or the editing was?
Sometimes it's the director.
Yeah.
I'm not being a smartass. I don't think I've ever intentionally gone onto a film and screwed up the character. But there are times when I've gone onto a film and the directors wanted something totally different to what I wanted to do. So I've been put in that position of having to do something that I personally feel is totally wrong for the film, and that's it. And then there's been good roles in bad movies.
Mm-hmm. And we've all seen
So,
those.
you know, you just do it. And, I always have this thing that I'm hired to do a job, I do my job.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll do it to, 150%, and I'll love what I'm doing, and I will thoroughly enjoy it. I have no control over how the rest of the film looks or how it ends up.
Yeah.
So, I do my job.
Mm-hmm. Do you do, like, your own stunts?
Not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a walking bag of breaks. I have injured most parts of my body doing stunts, and now I suffer from it.
Yeah.
So no, if I have to walk over a one step down onto a kitchen floor, I call for the stunt crew. I used to be this, the stunt guys can't do it the way I do it, so I'd be out there doing everything. And then after I broke a few things like arms and legs and fingers and things, I decided that actually they had a reason for being there, and that was to keep me from being hurt. So I decided that I would stop being a stuntman and just continue to be an actor.
Yeah.
I think that was a wise choice.
Yeah, so do I, believe me. And I wish I had figured it out a lot earlier, and I wouldn't be wandering around in pain all the time.
Yeah. Would you pick any certain stunts that you performed that were the worst, or do you think it was just all of them, built up over time?
I think it's all of them just built up. But even now, I still do fight scenes. I still do driving, riding horses, all that kind of stuff. It's just the heavy stunts that I won't do anymore, where I know I'm going to get hurt. But the little things, I love doing things like fight scenes or having sword fights or driving a car, riding a horse, all that kind of stuff I love. Mm-hmm. So I still continue to do that, much to the chagrin of my doctor, who gets sick of putting me back together again. But I really enjoy that stuff. But the major stunts I shy away from because I just don't like getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the roles really drop off when you're in a wheelchair.
Yeah, they do.
Uh-huh.
They really drop off when you limp onto the set the second day you've started filming and start bitching about the pain you've got in your left leg or something. People are like, oh, dear.
So, by the way, what did you think of Fury Road?
I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought as a visual movie, it was absolutely amazing. I mean, George Miller is the master at what he does. And the 100-odd awards he won for that film were duly deserved for everything else he'd done. I mean, I think he's just amazing. If I had my druthers, I would still say that Road Warrior was the best movie he made in that genre.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think most would agree.
Because I think everything came together in Road Warrior. The story, the action, the actors, everything came together. So I tend to think that that's the best film he made. And being a purist, I think I was a little upset that it looked like Charlize Theron was becoming Mad Max.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she definitely is more of the hero of the movie than Mad Max himself.
But as a visual spectacular, and as the thing that George does amazingly well as a road movie, that thing was unsurpassed by anything that's ever been made, and I don't think anything will surpass it for quite a while. Because it's all in camera. Mm-hmm. He doesn't do a lot of visual effects. Mm-hmm. So you got to give him that, and I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. When you did Road Warrior, I assume you were familiar with Mad Max, and what were your thoughts on Mad Max?
My thoughts were, shit, I should go and see this, I guess.
I guess you were familiar with it, yeah. I don't know if you know it
I've
here, but
never
they
seen
actually
it.
dub it. Oh yeah. So what did you? I don't know if you know this, but in the United States, Mad Max is dubbed because to take out the Australian accents.
Yeah, they dubbed it into American.
Right. Which makes it very strange, but yeah. So what?
Yes, I know.
So what did you think of Mad Max when you first saw it?
When I first saw it, I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was great, and I was really impressed with it. And I thought, this is what we're making, then it's going to be really cool. And it's just a shame I'm going to screw it up. But as fortune would have it, that didn't occur. It all worked out perfect. So I'm very, very proud of what I did, and I'm very, very proud of that movie.
Yeah. I think it's one of the rare sequels that's better than the original. Not that there's anything wrong with Mad Max, but for me, I agree Road Warrior's the best of all the 4 films.
Yeah, it just seemed to come together. I mean, we were very fortunate that the character of Wes became such a dominant feature and is what everybody remembers from the film, which, is rather amazing for me.
Uh-huh.
And it's one of those things, you do something in your life, no matter what it is, whether it's big, small, or otherwise, that sticks in everybody's mind. And I was just incredibly fortunate that film was something I did that sticks in people's minds.
Mm-hmm. I'd seen a video where you mentioned that that Arnold wasn't sold on you playing the role of Bennett in Commando at first.
Don't believe everything you hear me say. No, he wasn't, actually. I actually placed who was cast in the role because I was originally taken to meet the director by Joel Silver, who had brought me to America to do Weird Science.
Mm-hmm.
And the director didn't want me. He thought I would Wes it up, that I'd be Mad Maxes.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was fine by me. I went back to Australia. I didn't really care. I was happy being in Australia. And it all came about a couple of months later, I believe, when I got a phone call telling me to come to the States, that I was doing the film and they'd started production. So I didn't have a lot of time to get prepared or anything else. I actually arrived, and the next morning I was on the set.
Wow.
So there was not a lot of preparation for me to get into the character, and I was very sleepy and very tired, and I had this way of working where when I'm rehearsing, I just kind of wander around the set and do my lines, and that's basically it, because I'm trying to figure out where the camera is, where the other actors are, where I can move to, what the action's going to be, getting it all down in my brain. And I was just very sleepy, so it was taking me a bit of time to even get my brain to work. And Arnold had apparently said to Joel, "I don't think this is going to work. He's a pussy, and he needed a man to fight."
He really said that?
That's what I was told. I didn't hear it.
Wow.
I think it might have been he called me a wuss.
That's still pretty rough.
It was the scene where he's tied to the table and I have the knife at his throat, and I said, if I'd had my way, I would have cut your throat. Mm-hmm. I did the rehearsals for it, and then that was when he had called Joel over and said that he thought I wasn't that strong character that he needed to fight. And Joel had sort of said to him, well, can we just do this scene, and if you still think that way, then we'll recast. And, of course, the minute they said action, I just turned into Bennett and leapt on Arnold and stuck this plastic knife halfway through to his kidneys and sort of did the dialogue on him and the whole thing. And when the scene ended, Joel Silver came over and said, "What do you think, Arnold?" And Arnold's reply, apparently, by those who were in the vicinity was, "Don't ever give him a real knife." And that was the end of it. We became firm friends and had a ball doing the movie.
That's great.
That's awesome. Troy here does a really good Arnold Schwarzenegger impression.
Come on, Bennett, throw that chicken shit gun away. You don't want to pull the trigger. Put your knife in me. Look me in the eye.
Yeah, okay, fine.
So how about it's not necessarily great, it's very funny to us.
Well, this is true. It's extremely funny, and as you said, it's definitely not great. No, it was actually very good.
Thank you.
And I get it so often from people. I'm just
Oh, I'm sure
used
you
to
do.
it. That,
we tried to
I'm
convince
sorry,
Troy. We tried to convince Troy to do the whole show as Arnold at some point in time, but.
Oh, good. That'd be an interesting show. I actually just did a film where I sent my character up in. It's called No Chance, I believe. Mm-hmm. And they had me come in and work in it. They have different actors, one playing me, one playing Arnold, throughout the whole movie. And then right at the end, they have me come in and play myself, which is kind of funny. And I really enjoyed it because it was just this great comical send-up of what I'd done and what had become so ingrained into people's minds of Commando, and just sending it up I thought was kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. I enjoy doing that stuff, you know. If anybody ever comes up with a funny one for Road Warrior, I'll probably do that too.
What was the chainmail part of? Was that there? Was that anything you added? Where did the chainmail come from?
The costume was there when I arrived, having been let out, taken up, taken down, whatever, from the guy who originally wore it. Hmm. And he was smaller than I was.
Oh, okay. Do you keep anything from any of the movies? Any wardrobe or props or anything?
Yeah, usually if I like the movie, I usually take something. And what I usually do with the somethings that I take is I give them to charity to auction off if they're doing nice. An event for something that I'm interested in.
That's great.
And I actually got the jacket I wear in Commando, the army jacket. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I actually got that with my name, with Bennett written on it. I had the name on it, Bennett. And I had that for the longest time sitting in my wardrobe, and I believe the 121st Screaming Eagles, I think that's who they are. Anyway, it's one of our boys from up at the main army base in Kentucky or somewhere like that, some mm-hmm. big army base. It came down to Los Angeles and came to see me because apparently to get into their little society that they have there, you had to be able to repeat all of Bennett's lines. And they had come down to see me, and they said, would I be willing to sign a photograph for them, because they wanted to put that up in the rec room so that they could let everybody see what they had to do to become part of the team. And I said, I'll go you one better. I'll give you my jacket. So I signed my jacket and gave it to them, and I believe it's in their rec room in a glass case.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. That's very cool of you.
And so that was kind of fun for the boys, give them something to have fun with. They do a hell of a lot for us, so I thought the least I can do is do that little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
What are some of the other causes you've donated to?
Most of what I do is for kids. I'm really, really into helping kids, especially underprivileged and people that need our help. Especially, to me, kids need our help simply because they don't have any rights in reality, so they need to be looked after. And the other thing is wolves and wolf dogs. I belong to a group that rescues wolf dogs and wolves, and we have 29 at the moment.
Wow.
And we'll be going up to 42, I believe.
What's your opinion on wolf dogs?
I think people who breed them should be shot or put in a cage with 500 wolf dogs and let them see what they do.
Yeah.
they do some of the most horrendous things, and people buy these beautiful animals as pups and think, oh, this is going to be such a cool dog.
Yeah.
And they turn out to be 90 pound, and they're wolves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And wolves don't act like dogs.
I remember a long time ago thinking, yeah, that's cool. And I looked into it, and there was this amazing story written by this woman who did the same thing, and how that wolf would just wreck her house. And it's not, and she realized it wasn't that animal's fault. That it was basically, it was crazy because it had these two things inside of it fighting one another. You've got a domesticated animal and you've got a wild animal, and just you can't put them together.
No, it doesn't work. And it's not just that either. It's also the fact that wolves are pack animals.
Yeah.
And they want to be with you. You become their pack. Now, you can become the dominant member of the pack, or you can become dominated in the pack, whichever way it goes. But the point is, they have a pack, and you and your family are the pack. And when you leave them and go to work, they want to find out where you are, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, they get totally bored, and they start stripping your house of all its siding and everything in it that can be moved. And destroying it. We did a little test at the ranch. We put a big sofa in a cage in one of the runs with two wolves, just to see what would happen. And it lasted a week.
Yeah.
And they had broken that sofa into small, tiny 1-inch pieces.
Wow.
Oh, sorry about all that. That's my two dogs deciding that they're wolves. They just decimated it and destroyed it, and that's what happens to your house, and people don't get it, and and you can't control them the way you control dogs because they don't react the way dogs react, and people get terribly put off by it and think that they're vicious, they're savage, they're this. No, actually, wolves are the gentlest dogs in the world. They are beautiful, and they will not hurt you unless you push them or put them in a position where they've got nothing to do but fight back.
Yeah.
And people don't understand it. So they go get these little pups, they grow up, they give them to a shelter. The shelter has a 36-hour death notice. Dogs are put down within 36 hours, regardless.
Wow.
So we try to be the one in the middle and get them before any of that happens.
Once you get them, what do you do with them?
We keep them.
Mm-hmm.
They live out their lives in a beautiful 120-acre property up in Acton, California.
Wow. Now, do you keep them all in the same enclosure? Because there's one kind of local to me. Yeah, and they have specific ones they section off that really can't be socialized with the other. But they keep them alive. They're just in their own place.
Yeah, we have some of them are on their own. Some of them are with 2 or 3. Depending on who gets along with who.
Yeah.
And we use ours actually for, they get taken to schools and to teach kids all about what wolves are and how wolves react to things, and to see them up close. They're used in recovery programs with recovering alcoholics and drug addicts, and they're also used with the military for people who come back with PTSD.
That's really interesting.
That's what it is. And they do courses with them up on the ranch. And because wolves are probably the most intuitive animals you can get. They can look into your eyes and tell exactly what you are, who you are, or what's wrong with you, and they respond to that. So they're used as service dogs quite a lot.
I didn't know that. That's incredible. I've loved wolves for really my whole life, and I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yep, my spirit guide is a wolf.
Yeah.
So I'm or wolves. So that's my. I think that's why I became so involved with them, was that I had something that drew me to them, and then I knew what it was, and now I'm kind of think it's the greatest thing. My dog, who weighs about 12.5 pounds, grew up with one of the wolves, Unfortunately, now, as they grow older, you have to separate them because the dominance in both animals comes out.
Yeah.
And wolves, unfortunately, are a lot bigger and a lot stronger, and if they're dominant, then they will try to prove it. And Eddie happens to be an alpha, and he weighs all of 13 pounds. So,
Yeah, that probably wouldn't work out very well. Poor thing.
No, because Taboo, who was the most gentle, beautiful wolf on the planet, or wolf dog on the planet, grew up with him, and she's now becoming a very dominant female. And of course, that doesn't go down well if you've got a dominant male and a dominant female. So
what is the name of your place? If anybody is interested.
Wolf Connection. There's two of them. One's called wolfconnection.org, and the other is called Apex.
Apex, just APEX, and then what?
Yep.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Google results for that, so I'd just put in wolves. Probably, I guess I would probably.
Yep. I think it's Apex Wolf Protection. But the other one, the big one, is the first one, wolfconnection.org.
That's great. Cool.
Which does all the work. Which is my love of my life, being involved with them and helping out and doing what I can. I was on the board of directors for 3 years, but unfortunately, being an actor makes it a little hard at times to do things like that because you're never around.
Yeah.
So now I just volunteer and do what I can do to help and get involved wherever I can get involved. But last weekend, they moved into their new 120-acre compound, which was really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the wolves have got these huge areas to themselves and a 5-acre run that they can go out and race around in and run up and down the hill and have a lot of fun.
That's great.
So that's my thing. And apart from that, I act sometimes.
That sounds like a really great life.
Yeah.
Acting and hanging out with the wolves, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I've got to admit that I have been incredibly lucky. I mean, I've done 190 now, 190 films in my career,
Wow.
which I always thought if I could do 20 films, I would be the happiest guy on the planet. And when it got up to near 100, I thought, my God, if I got 100 before I pass on into the other place, I would just be amazed. And now I'm like, oh, crap, I'm going to stick around till I do 200. So I'm off on another one in a couple of weeks to Australia to shoot a wonderful film called, what's it called? Oh, Landfall. It's about 7 people trapped in a house during a hurricane, except they're not all who they seem to be. That'll be a fun one. And I'm also doing a movie with John Schneider before I go, which is a really wonderful, wonderful script. And I'm playing this. He wrote the character of me the way I am, very sarcastic and a total sex deviant. So I loved it when I read it. I was in hysterics, and I thought it was just wonderful. So I'll be doing that before I leave to go to Australia, which will be loads of fun.
Excellent. Do you yourself have a website or Twitter or anything that people can follow you on?
No, I sort of figure that, I'm who I am, and if you want me, screw it, you find me.
Excellent. All right.
No, I have a website. My website's playing up at the moment, so I'd go on to my Facebook, which is, I have 2. I have Vernon G. Wells or Vernon George Wells, and I believe that Vernon G. Wells is my official one, and Vernon George Wells is the one where anybody can come on and join it. And I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. So you're people.
Do not ask me what. Sorry.
What was that? What were you about to say?
I was just going to say, don't ask me how any of those things work because I have no goddamn idea. I have a wonderful assistant at work who knows all about that stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I just keep calling her name during the day, like 1T, and she sort of comes in with her head down and goes, what? And it's like, kind of got someone wants me to answer them on Twitter. What the hell is that? So, you know, I'm kind of lost when I get into all that. I can actually answer people when they're on my email or they come onto my Facebook, but apart from that, I'm kind of confused. But when we get my website up, my own Vernon G. Wells site up, it's kind of got lots of photographs and videos and all kinds of stuff, but somebody got into it and hacked it and screwed it all up, so they're at the moment trying to fix it and get it open.
That sucks.
That's terrible.
Mm.
Why would anyone go out of their way to harass you?
You know what? The funny thing is, I'll give you an example of how funny it is being me. I was in a restaurant one night and having dinner, and one of my friends looked up and went, "Hey, dude, you're on TV." And I went, "What?" He said, "You're on TV." And I looked up, and it was a baseball game. And I went, "What are you talking about, you dumbass? It's baseball." He said, "Yeah, just watch a minute." And the picture comes up, and the name underneath him was Vernon Wells. And I went, "What the hell? Number one, he's African-American. And what is this crap?" And it was actually right. His name, he pitches for, I don't think he still does, but he did a couple of years ago.
I think he retired just a few years ago, yeah.
Right, he retired, yeah. He pitched for the Angels and for the Toronto Blue Jays. And I used to get all of these kids coming onto my webpage and onto my site going, "Could you please send me an autographed baseball?" And I couldn't figure out why they wanted, until I knew the connection, why they wanted autographed baseballs from me. I was like, why do these kids want me to autograph baseballs, for God's sake? I do movies where I'm hacking people into small pieces. And then, of course, I found out why. So that's kind of what it's like being me sometimes. And sometimes I think people mistakenly think that I'm some other person and they get mad about something and then they do dumb crap.
Did you send out any baseballs?
I did for a couple of kids with my initials on them. And, you know, I'd tell you the other funny side of that is I was at a convention, because I get asked to do conventions, of course, and I was at a convention. And they usually give you an assistant, you know, that sort of sits there, or someone to come and sit at your table if you need to go to the toilet or something. And I had to go to the toilet, so I had this young kid. He was like in his 20s. I said, "Can you watch the table for me? I got to go to the loo." And he said, "Sure." So I come back and he hands me money. And I said, "What's that for?" And he said, "Oh, I stole 2 photos while you're away." And I said, "Oh, great. Are they coming back to get them autographed?" He said, "No, I autographed them for you," and they didn't know the difference.
Oh, man.
So these people came up, bought my photos. This kid in his 20s signs my name, and they go, "Thank you."
The picture is there.
It's like, okay.
You look a lot different in person.
It's a fun life. Yep. But people keep saying to me, "Well, you look so different in every movie you make. You know, people wouldn't be surprised it wasn't you." And it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. But anyway, the shout out, of course, is for the Horde, which I think is a wonderful movie. I'm very proud of it, and I love doing it. And love the producers, the crew, the cast, the star, Paul. Everybody was wonderful. Loved everybody. I've just finished doing a movie I cannot tell you the name of. They won't let us, but it's the most anticipated horror film this year.
Wow.
We'll be able to give you the name of it in about 2 weeks, I believe, but right now I'm not allowed to. But it stars every horror star that you've ever seen or ever know, and it's going to be brilliant and wonderful. And I've got a web series, 2 web series actually, one called 6 Feet Down Under, which I love, and another one called, what's the other one called? Oh, dear me. That's great. My mind just went totally blank. I was going so well. Everything was coming to me. And then, bang, right there, it just goes, bink. Western X, the series. Western X, the show, which I love because it's a Western and it's set in a time that doesn't really exist. So it's one of those fantasy Westerns, which is absolutely beautiful. And it's won about 18 awards. It's such a wonderful show, and I love that too. So they're just two other little things that I do that I thought you might be interested in.
Yeah, definitely like to check those out.
I would.
Yeah.
And pay money, you shit. We need it.
Thanks. I do want to ask one question about the Horde. I don't want to spoil the movie, but what is your personal favorite cut of meat?
My favorite kind of meat is I think the breast. And I just like to work on it before I prepare it.
Very, very good.
You're worse than I am. I could have said a million things there that would have been totally disgusting, but I thought I'd be nice.
We're quite the show. You can be as... It's pretty bad here. You say what you feel.
Yeah, well, I could have done it the way we did in the film, and just you just got to know how to prepare it, and a young 12-year-old girl has the best meat.
Whoa.
Sorry, this is pretty exactly. It's in the movie. It's in the movie.
Yeah, it's in the movie. It's okay.
That makes it fine.
So yeah, right.
Yeah. So it was great having you here, Vernon, and we're going to call you back in 2 weeks to find out about this movie.
I would, yes, do that, because I would love to. And I might ring you, actually, and just tell you what it is.
Oh, that would be great.
Just for the hell of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just for the hell of it.
That would be awesome.
I think I'm going to strangle my dog in about 5 seconds. He hasn't stopped barking for the last 5 minutes. Yeah. He loves it. I get on the phone, and he's like, "Come on, dude, get off the phone. I want to get fed." But it's been wonderful speaking to you all. Well, at least the two of you that got a word in edgewise.
I just listen. That's kind of my thing.
One of those perverted little souls. You just listen and stare through blinds.
That's usually me.
All right.
Yes, I've done that on the occasion myself, I'm here to tell you. But let's not go there. Let us not digress into my perverted...
Exactly. Well, we will talk to you again, and it's been a great time.
Yep, thank you so much.
It has been a pleasure, and I'm so happy to have finally got in touch with you just because you went out your shit and didn't take my phone call. But that being said, I am so happy to have finally got on your show and spoken to you all, or bespoke with you.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah. Definitely call whenever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. And as I like to say to people, from my heart to your heart, please be safe and secure, and my love to you all.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you much.
Same back to you. It really was a pleasure talking with you.
Well, now I'm going to go on that note, Seriously, I could sit here all night and it'll just deteriorate into total bullshit, and we don't really want to go there.
On a high note.
That's what we'll do for the rest of the show. All right.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say, you've got enough crap from me to hang me about 6 times and probably never let me work again in Hollywood. So what the hell?
You'll be safe, though. No one listens to us. So.
Oh, good. Yeah, I can guarantee tomorrow morning I'll have at least 12 messages on my email from people that have come onto my Facebook going, "What the fuck?"
Awesome.
Well, most of them will be from my manager. But that's okay. I'm just born on this earth to torture him. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go because I really do have to feed the dogs. They're getting, when they start gnawing on my feet, I realize that it's time to get them fed. And I will speak to you in 2 weeks and tell you what the show is.
Awesome.
Great.
Thanks very much.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Okay, guys. Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Hi, this is Kane Hodder, Victor Crowley, Jason from Friday the 13th. You're listening to WithoutYourHead.com.